I never felt like my anxiety or I myself needed to calm down. I always felt like something needed to break out.
All right, everybody, welcome to the More Than Anxiety success stories. We've started with one so far with Amy, and today we have Daniel O'Keefe, the man, the myth, the legend in our Health Anxiety University. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me. It's great to be here. This is a privilege after the year that I've just been through to be here doing this. So
Awesome. And I'm really looking forward to, for us to kind of create some insight for other people that are listening, not only about anxiety, but things that may even go deeper than that, and dysregulation and all those bad lifestyle habits and such.
yeah.
So we're going to dive deep into that, Danny. But first and foremost, why don't you just give us a little snippet about you? Where do you live? And also guide us towards how anxiety manifested in your nervous system and in your life, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, starting from, I'll just give you a short background of being very young and in an abusive home where my dad was beating my mum. Now, I don't remember any of it, but my nervous system definitely does. Growing up, then people said I was very nervous, very jumpy, afraid of violence, would shut down easily with any confrontation. With my mum being taken away, if she was just going to work, I was very panicky. Um, on top of that, then I lived in a racially divisive area where I was outnumbered, bullied, intimidated. I was bullied then at school, and my home life was, we didn't have a lot of money. It was difficult, and it was just me and my mum. So as time went on, I was dealing with that. I wasn't taught how to emotionally regulate or anything like that. It was just me, I had to look after myself. And then when I got to around 15 years old, my mum had a nervous breakdown. She lost her mum. And that became a time where I basically lived on my own for around 3 years. My mum was in and out of hospital. I seen her sectioned twice. Nobody came to help. Nobody, no authorities. School were letting me swan in and out whenever I wanted. I thought it was great. At the time, I thought, yeah, I'm my own man. I can do what I want, smoking drugs, drinking, all that kind of stuff. But secretly, that was eating me alive inside. It was just me. Then I met my partner, who I'm still with now. I was 17, but I was I was ready to unleash all of that anger, all of that rage, and it manifested in drink, violence out at nightclubs, fighting in the street, kicking doors off hinges. I didn't know who this person was. I just knew I needed to let it out, whatever it was. I worked on it. The drink always stayed. That I knew when I was 18 that I couldn't function without it. It became part of my personality, that I couldn't be normal, it felt, unless I drank. And then I could relax and then I could be me. Without it, I felt like a ball of energy that was so tightly wound, it felt like it was going to explode. And it did when I drank, but I needed that release, it felt like. So around 1920, I had a job and I'm working nights and I get a twitch in my eyelid. And out of nowhere, I got this intrusive thought that those drugs you used to take, Danny, they've come back to get you. And my heart, it was like a punch to my chest. I instantly went cold and I was just terrified. And it was that bad. People's faces were distorting when I was looking at them, and that was making me even more scared. And I was just trying to get through the night on this night shift. I remember sitting on the bus. I managed to get a doctor's appointment that day. I remember sitting on the bus looking at people, and they all looked strange. Everything sounded strange. It was so weird. And I remember running into the doctor's. And I told him, and he said, "Oh, you just had a panic attack."
Mm.
And he sent me to the chemist for a herbal remedy. But I didn't need it. As soon as he told me that, it just dropped. It just disappeared. And I thought, oh, that's all it was. So that was put to the back of the mind.
As soon as he told
But
you it was a panic attack.
yeah, it just all went. And I thought, oh, bloody hell, there's me getting all wound up. So I was fine. And I carried on my life. But it stayed in the background. So it's like it was dying to break out, and that was its first little exit. And then as the years went on, it would pop up a little bit more. So I had a lump on the back of my head one night, and that was me walking the streets from 3 a.m. till 6 a.m., terrified. The thoughts just churning, churning. And it turned out I'd scratched my head and there was a bit of an infection. And as soon as I got that comfort from the doctor, gone, instantly gone until the next time and the next time. And these events got closer and closer together because in between I felt totally normal. I didn't know back then what health anxiety was. I'd heard of the phrase hypochondriac. And to me, that was somebody, what I learned was that's just somebody that always moans. That's somebody that's just, they think they've got this and they think they've got that. I didn't realize what it actually was. It's used as a derogatory term, usually. Um, so yeah, these moments got closer and closer together, checking vital parts, feeling for lumps, not quite knowing why I was doing it, but just I had the urge to do it. But every time I went to the doctors, it was that high, it was that buzz, it was terror beforehand. Sit there, finally get the it's okay, and then this relief would wash over me, and I'd go about my day. But then the questions, they'd creep back in. Did he check this? Has he, is it something that's gonna get worse? Is it? And I would just follow these whys. That was around the time then that I was living in Coventry, born and raised in Coventry. And then we moved to Birmingham for my partner's job, where she was a manager of a care home. So I thought, new fresh start, fresh people to be around, new life. Let's stop the drinking, let's get everything together. But we moved, and wherever you go, there you are. And I brought the drink with me. That crept back in. And with drink, it's like for me, it's on or it's off. There's no in between. It's all out or not at all. So it became all out again. Then we moved again, and it became all out again. Until the point then where 2 years ago, I made the decision that I need help doing this because every time I try, it just collapses, it all falls apart. So yeah, 2 years ago, I got sober and thought, wow, this is great, this is sunshine and rainbows. I'm gonna be healed, I'm gonna be fixed, all the pain's gonna go. But little did I know, alcohol was just a symptom again. And once I felt ready, then I believe my subconscious then said, right, now, all that stuff, we need to deal with it. It needs to come up now.
Yes.
And gradually the anxiety was creeping on, creeping on. I'd be driving, I couldn't not listen to a comedy show in the car because I needed to be distracted. I I couldn't concentrate. I could just feel it welling up and welling up. Now, around that time is when I started listening to your YouTube channel and things were starting to make sense. I wasn't fully making the connection yet, but I was thinking, right, this guy seems to know what I'm going through here. So, bit by bit, I thought, right, I definitely need extra help here with the health anxiety. And just as I joined school, it exploded. It finally all rose to the surface. And I remember one video in particular of you saying, don't be surprised if once you start healing, at first it can get worse. And that's what happened for me. It was almost like I gave it permission to come alive and just be. And it was scary and it was terrifying. but with the school group and yourself, it became my mission then to finally let this out and show myself compassion enough to not fight it anymore.
Yes. And that's amazing, Danny. And let's go a little bit deeper into this ball of energy within the body that was manifesting for you, probably with a host of different kinds of ideas, trying to pull you back into a state of whatever it was, anxiousness and irritability and anger, all those things. Let's talk
Mm.
about that energy in the body and mind a little bit. Did you start to feel like for me, it was okay, the relationship with that part of me that manifested in so many negative ways, the relationship needs to be altered. It needs to change with that part of me. Did you find that that was the same case for you, where, okay, yeah, all this stuff was happening in the mind and the body and the emotions and stuff, but the relationship before, as you look at it, you could see how different it was to the relationship maybe you have today with that energy. But tell me a bit about how it improved with that energy in the body, the angers, the fears, and this and that. What did you do? What was one of the biggest realizations, for example, that started you on the path towards healing?
Yeah, so what I was learning, I was an avid learner for this last year with your content. I know there's a line where you can cross where it's too much, but for me, the way my brain works, I was able to articulate it all so well and it made so much sense. Um, I realized that the relationship I had with my own body and emotions was one of these are emotions are allowed and these emotions are not.
Mm.
And that's something I learned from your videos where I I had to try to engineer my life towards certain thoughts and emotions, and I had to direct everything from others. And that's how I'd been living. I must use outside sources to control my inside world. Once I let that go, I worked on that tirelessly. The first thing I started to notice was those emotions, the ones that were negative or not allowed, then started to push forward even more.
Uh,
That ball of energy, it started to manifest in the mornings specifically very powerfully.
how did it manifest for you in the morning? How
In
did
the mornings, it would be as soon as I opened my eyes, I could feel my brain almost like a filing cabinet going through all the files. What was wrong yesterday? We need to check them all now. What was it? It was one, two, three, four, and then I could almost observe it happening in real time, it flicking through them all, and then going, got it. It was this, and this. And then it would go, so how are they today? How are those symptoms? That was in the first few seconds of waking.
uh,
That would be followed then by trembling, uh, heart racing, cold, curling up into like a fetal position, and my partner be getting ready for work, and just these thoughts of this is the last time I'll ever see you. I'm going to be alone in the house now on my own. Um, then it was followed by lots of crying, um, and that that's how it was coming to the surface. And then what I did was, again from videos from you, I started to imagine my inner child coming into the bedroom, and after having a nightmare, I would pull back the quilt. I literally did this every morning, pull back the quilt, invite him to jump in and say, come on, get in here, you'll be all warm. Pull the quilt over, and I'd just hug the pillow and let myself cry, let myself shake. Once I started letting that happen,
mm,
it was gone in a few weeks.
wow.
Yeah. But before that, because it wasn't allowed, because that energy wasn't allowed to come out, that's what was keeping it alive.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm.
So we utilize the imagination. You did something with the body, so somatically holding the pillow, imagining that that is the child. How old was the child when you imagined it?
About three.
3 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the night before as well, what I would do is because I was scared of it happening, I began to invite it to happen. So that's what I would say. I would lie there saying, okay, Danny. And I'd say, I want you to promise me that you come and wake me up in the morning. I want you to come into my room. I want you to wake me up and I want you to give me everything you've got. I
Powerful.
want you to have me shake, cry, and we're going to do it together. Promise me. And I'd tell him I love him and I'd promise him that I'd see him in the morning and that I'd never ignore him and would be together in the morning. And
Amazing.
he would. Yeah, and he would come in and we'd do it together and we lay there and we went through it all. And it wasn't long until that period finally dissipated.
So would it be safe to say that you, not 99%, but 100% of you has to believe that what you're dealing with physically is a manifestation of what you've been holding on to emotionally, mentally, the ideas, the habits, all of those programs like a record player. Would you say that it has to be 100% dedication? And you realized at that point that yes, the physical can be there in terms of symptoms, but it's not physical. Did you find that it had to be
Yeah.
100% inner child work?
Yeah. For me, what I was realizing was if I put the commitment in, I always remember you saying that. It's like, don't try, commit. And I was like, right. So I just commit to it. And once I decided that it didn't matter what I was going to go through anymore, symptom wise, I'm committed to this path. And it was the path that kept me going because you can do what you want over here because I'm committed to this. I always, we talk about a reassurance a lot in this community and how it can be so damaging. And I decided that with my partner, instead of seeking reassurance, what I was going to do was explain to her the processes that are happening to me. So we're both observing it rather than me bringing you problems. So I would tell her stories about how anxiety is like a fisherman. And I'd make it into a little comedy show, and she'd be sitting there cracking up, and it was a release for me. And I'd say he'd be trying to get me back in with this thought and this sensation and all that. But I was so committed to it that I thought, I'm not going to pretend you're not there. You are definitely here, but now I'm observing you and I can observe you from a distance with my partner and say, oh, look, this is happening. This is happening. My mind is telling me this. My body's reacting this way. So I'm still committed, but I'm still aware and open to saying, oh, these things are happening to me. Uh, but I'm committed to the journey because at the beginning, I was trying to ignore symptoms. And there's definitely a difference between ignoring and pretending and distracting to noticing, showing it compassion, but redirecting.
Interesting. So what I'm curious about, and I think a lot of people are going to be curious about this, Danny, is when you mention the work that you're doing now, it's like there's a high degree of release work, meaning like
Yeah.
working with that part of you and expressing, allowing symptoms to be there. There's a lot of expressing work. How much, in your case, how much did the receiving or relaxing or meditative work play a part in your healing? How much did that play a part, if any?
Yeah. So I think during the course we did the chair. I can't remember the precise, but where you
Sure.
talk to, yeah. And I found that that had such an impact on me.
Okay.
For me, the meditating and stuff, although I still do it because I think it brings great clarity, it it felt more like a band-aid for me. I
Because
didn't,
I just want to
yeah,
jump in because so many people, Danny, when they get on this healing journey, it's it's almost like they're forcing themselves to calm down, calm
yes,
the symptom, calm the idea, calm
yeah,
nervous system. It's all about calming down. And
yeah.
whether that be alone or in public, there's this relentless pursuit of trying to calm the system down. Did you find that?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody I talk to, my cousin went through anxiety, everything. Everyone wants to know how to calm down. What's my 5 tips to calm down? Take a deep breath, meditate, da 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 da. And it's like, for me, I didn't want to calm down. I wanted to bring it up. I wanted it up and out and let it express itself. It was terrifying.
Wow.
But once I noticed that, I mean, I cried one day so uncontrollably, the noises that were coming out of me actually made me burst out laughing and stop crying for a second. I was like, what was that?
In
But
there.
yeah, it's just been in there. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I want more of that. Where is that coming from? So
Purging,
the
purging.
yeah,
Not like it was a purging effect, like
exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I never felt like my anxiety or I myself needed to calm down. I always felt like something needed to break out and yeah, and really express itself. And that crying, that pursuit of that became something I do regularly. So it happened again recently where I felt a charge building. So I wrote a letter to my a version of me where I generated 2 AI pictures of what he was going through. And as soon as I saw the pictures with those words, again, it's not just crying, it's like a rupture in the solar plexus area. And it's like it's coming through here. It's almost like he's screaming to get it out, and I'm just the facilitator. I'm just the organ that let it out. It felt like him. I was aware of the crying. I wasn't in the crying. I wasn't sad. It was like a release, like a sneeze or something. Like it just had to come out. And afterwards, I felt exhausted for a few minutes, like really. Wow, and then I could feel and I've ever since each time I can feel my nervous system just recalibrating, just reorganizing itself and coming back into alignment.
Okay, so would you say that most people you've run into, Danny, and we're going to talk about the upcoming podcast and all the things that you're going to be doing to contribute to help other people and stuff, but would you say that most people going through the realm that you are going through with the nervous system needs more of that kind of work and less of the calm down, relax kind of work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked a while back about the somatic side of it and the trauma trapped in the body, the dysregulated nervous system. I just think I'm not saying meditating's bad, and I'm not saying these
Sure.
calming down things that they have their place, but
Yes.
it seems to be the
Yes.
main focus. And what you're trying to do is steady a rocking ship, and
Mm,
it's like the ship needs to rock, and you're just going to have to face that side of it. This ship needs to rock, and you keeping it so tight and so rigid through your meditation. Must meditate 3 times a day. Got to have a bath in Epsom salts. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And it's like, smell the lavender, all these kind of things. And it's like they have a place, but for me, they're more on the healing side when we don't want to get to that anxiety place. When I'm in the anxiety place, I need to release, not confine, constrict, restrict. It's like That's where I feel that is. Yeah.
And what you're describing now, I think for a lot of people out there lead to the term that I ran into a lot recently where people come up to you and say, Dennis, chronic fatigue. I am dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, right? And I do believe now, especially with this talk we're having, that because of all that suppressed feeling and emotion and hiding ourselves away from expressing through trying to relax, doing all that suppressive work and trying to almost live like a monk, for a lot
Yeah.
of people, it can get very tiring, can't it? It can get very
Yeah.
exhausting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when I first got into it, I felt like coffee went, my diet changed. I couldn't watch scary movies anymore. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And almost the thing that I was using to free me became my new prison. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh God, so did I meditate this morning? Did I do any release work? Did I do this? Did I do that? And it became a checklist of things to get completed because the the anxiety, the ruler was standing over me saying, if you don't do those things, I'm ready to pounce.
So
It's like,
related.
oh yeah, I'm ready to get you. So it was like, if I don't do these things, if I even put myself in a position where I'll be uncomfortable, he's going to come and get me. So I must bat him off and fight him off at all times. And out of all the things that I learned, just like yourself, now it's two or three things. That's all I need to do. Just two or three things.
Isn't that
And I don't
interesting
need it
though?
all. Yeah.
Yeah, like so for so many people, they do all this, all they've tried everything, hundreds of things, thousands of things, and gone to many different kinds of different professionals and this and that. But in the end, it's almost like there are these handful of lessons that you just kind of keep coming back to and
Yeah.
you keep coming back to it, right? After
Yeah. Yeah.
firing, there's the lesson again. It's showing up in a different way. And
Yeah.
it's we're not looking over here and looking at the simple stuff, but we're trying to make it so complicated. At least that part of us wants us to believe that it's complicated, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the desperateness. It confuses the mind and makes it search for, it can't be that simple. It must be this, it must be this. And if this isn't working because I tried it for 5 seconds, then it must be this thing. Let me reach for that. Maybe this will fix me. Maybe this will fix me. And all it was all along for me was allow it. No, I can't make it any simpler than that. But as you always say, simple but not easy.
Mm, yes.
Yeah.
So there is that side of us that is always looking for the jolt. When we're talking about kind of the dopamine rush. I know. Well, for you, maybe that showed up with the drink, and then maybe it showed up in other ways. But in some way, that part of us always wants to somehow be overly stimulated, so that it
Mm,
can be hyper vigilant all the time. That's that stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
Did you have to, well, not did you have to, but did you find that your life was altering and you no longer needed the jolt, whether it was maybe it's social media for a lot of people, or, oh, check my email 8 times a day, or, oh, I gotta check to make sure the team that I don't, the football team I don't like lost today. That's sort of a jolt, 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 jolt. Did you find that you're
Mm.
slowly moving away from all that?
Yeah. It was definitely there still in the beginning, that constant searching for a stimulant, for that dopamine hit. But as the healing came about in a more profound way, I was finding that hit in more wholesome ways naturally. It was just coming about. It was like a passenger with the healing. So, I mean, my football team, Liverpool, we're going to win the league this year. And for the first time in my whole life since I was about 6, I'm not even watching. I still love them because it's an old memory and I've had so many great times supporting them. But the states I would get into supporting them, the anger, the frustration, getting so emotionally invested in something that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
To be getting into that state, it wasn't good for me. But I didn't consciously rule it out. As I headed towards healing, it fell away. And I still enjoy football, don't get me wrong, but it's not this overarching massive hit for me now. And it's the same with computer games. I grew up playing computer games, that's my generation. And I'll still have an hour or two here and there, but it's not my be all and end all anymore. It's like I'll go out in the morning and sit by a stream and the sun's shining, I can hear birds and I can hear children's school nearby with laughter. And I'm just like, I've been missing this for what? It's all coming naturally. It's like the scales fall away. And I'm so appreciative of life now. Going from being so scared last year, I'm just sitting in my conservatory now, and for years I've stood and stared up at the stars. It's just something I love doing before bed. It's mind-boggling to me, and I love the epicness of it. But last year, every time I looked up, I couldn't do it anymore because I kept having this feeling that this is the last time, Danny. This is the last time you're going to see those stars. It was like a feeling of, I mean, we're all going to die, but it felt imminent and I couldn't describe it. And it was so sad to look up at those stars and think, this is where I'm at now. But I had to experience that. I had to go through that period to come out the way I am now. I remember you saying a long time ago, you'll look back and thank this period. It'll be the period that makes you who you are. And it really has turned out that way.
Because a lot of people, when they think about it, I hear it a lot. You're probably going to hear it a lot is, I just want to go back to who I was before all this.
Yeah.
But that person wasn't very happy either, and that person was, yes, that person may have had moments where looking forward to the weekend and the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and going out and doing those things. And again, the overstimulation and the carefreeness, but carefree, you know, along with hiding what it is we have to work on the inside. So it is interesting how, it's not about going back to who you were, but because you're going through this particular journey and these lessons, you tend to become someone that, when you look out, especially in the city, you're walking around in the city, you're going, well, a lot of people are caught up, they're very caught
Mm,
up and they seem quite stressed and stimulated, and
mm,
I feel a little bit different. I kind of feel separate from that,
mm,
At least in the
yeah.
beginning, that's how I felt.
Mm.
But I want to ask you, what particular characteristic do you think is the most important when it comes to healing and recovery? Not a skill set, but a characteristic that you had to bring back, at least bring back, give permission to show up in order for your healing to continue. What would that characteristic be?
Um, for me, there was so much repression. It felt like I was chained to something. So what I did was I I gave permission to myself to be free, even though I was under threat, even though I was under fire, even though you are imminently going to die or feel this or go through this. I allow you to be free anyway. And once I believed that and followed that through, that became my identity.
Wow.
I watched a video where you talked about assuming an identity, whether you believe it or not, and it will become. And that's what it was for me. I assumed the identity that I was free,
Wow.
and
Even with
so
the
it became.
symptoms,
Even with the symptoms, especially with the symptoms,
especially with the symptoms.
because there was a period there also where I felt I could only be free without symptoms, but the symptoms became more and more. So how can I be free? So I had to choose free. no matter what.
Wow.
And then I broke out, and then I was like, oh right. So I have to do the hard thing first, then I get the reward, not wait for the reward and then say I'm free.
So you've taken on the identity of being free, and that's the mindset, that's the approach that you take. This is who I am, who you're showing to the world. And then the symptoms get stronger. The bodily symptoms
Mm,
get stronger. I don't know if you experienced the depersonalization or the dizziness, which is front and center for a lot of people, along with the memory and the concentration issues. So
yeah.
let's just say the symptoms show up while you're going about your day with that new identity. What's the process, Danny, in those very moments? What is the response to those? Even, I mean, if there was a response, how did you not tame them? Obviously, the symptoms have subsided or gone away completely for you, but what did you do in those very moments?
Well, straight away, I get this question a lot. What do you do? And that already implies that there is something to do. I don't think there is. That's what I learned. Um, the brain shuts down, the panic takes over. What I did, I'm not the panic. I'm the observer watching the panic. My brain is firing off electrical impulses of an old deep river in my brain, and I'm watching that happen. When I watched it happen, it doesn't remove it, it doesn't fix it, it gives you breathing space. So once I had the breathing space and just watched it from a distance, then it lost its power.
I see.
And now all I'm waiting for is the new rivers to carve their way into my brain.
I see.
And it's that simple for
Wow.
me. It doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel comfortable. Don't be watching this and thinking, "Oh, I'll just do that then." It's like it was still terrifying. I was still scared. I was still dizzy. My heart's still palpitating, all those type of things. But I wasn't it anymore.
Yes.
I was watching it and I was in the body experiencing it, but I wasn't it.
So there wasn't this rigid or stressful awareness as to how and when to respond to the symptom. It wasn't that.
No.
More so a flow throughout the day, getting more and more comfortable with your new identity. And then when the bait, the fishing bait showed up
Yeah.
in terms of symptoms,
Yeah.
you still continued along the way and how you started the day, for example, right?
Yeah.
That's
I,
strong, powerful, very
yeah,
powerful.
I learned early on its language. And once I learned its language, then I he was easily to be identified. So I know I'm not you. If you're using my voice, how can I identify you? How do I know you apart from me? And I thought, you use particular language. You use language at different times of the day, and I know how you react, and I know you as a separate entity from me. So when you use those things, you give yourself away, and I see you again, and I go, there you are. Okay, I'm not stopping you. I'm not chaining you up, but I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to redirect to the things that I value in my life.
Yes, it's powerful. And
Yeah,
that had to be done, of course, multiple times throughout the day in order for the message to get across.
yeah,
Sometimes the message gets across, sometimes it takes a bit longer, but that is a necessary dedication, I think. Absolutely.
yeah.
For
I
this.
mean, those things they still fire off.
They still,
I'm not cured,
yes.
but they fire off. But I have so much, I don't want to say mastery, because I don't think it needs to be tamed. It just needs to run its course while I'm running my course, and eventually we'll
Wow.
come to an agreement in the middle of that river, where that's where the peace is, the stabilization of the nervous system.
Yes. Anything else kind of on the from the outside that helped you, Danny? Like obviously some of my videos helped and stuff like that, but Did you take on some tea? Did you experiment with a sort of holy basil or a herb here or there, or anything from the outside, sunlight maybe in the morning, that sort of,
Yeah.
you mentioned just one or two.
Yeah, so I've always been into fitness. So I noticed that when I was going to the gym and going too hard, like bodybuilding, that was not good for my nervous system. So I toned that down and walking became huge for me.
Walking.
Sunlight in the mornings, getting that in early, a bit of salt in water in the morning for a bit of hydration. I cut out coffee, but that was more of a fear response in the beginning. But I don't need coffee anyway. But I remember getting rid of it like that doesn't make me feel good. I had to chuck that out. Um, but on the outside, again, it felt like meditation and other things. Like they are calming down things. They are ointment on the wound. What is the wound? That's what I was fascinated with. What is this wound? I need to expose the wound, let the air get to it, let it be and let it see it in its ghastly form and just let it heal, rather than putting all this stuff on top of it. I did go out in nature. I did go out and listen to the birds. I meditated. I did all those things, but they were never the prime mover in my healing. It for me, it was more expressive. Let that wound out into the air and let it heal.
I think this is
Yeah.
going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people, um,
Mm.
because I do believe that, with these anxieties, this part of it doesn't get talked about enough.
No.
If you do look up anxiety or whatever, it does come down to the taming work. We have to
Yeah.
tame this thing, this tiger, and
Mm.
and push it down. So in what ways can we continue to push it down?
Mm.
But I think this is going to be quite an eye opener. And I just have one more question. I was curious about how things changed in public for you. Before engaging with people, social events, because health anxiety, generalized anxiety, panic, they all kind of intertwined for a lot of people. So for you in the social world, do you find that you're a lot less maybe people pleasing, you saying the right thing at the right time, or maybe after a social gathering, you're not recapping so much on how you did and what kind of performance you had with people, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is it like today socially with people compared to before?
Yeah. So before I was so tightly wound, the only way I could express myself was the alcohol. But now it's like, without sounding too dramatic, once you've faced death, it's almost like everything else now is like, what was I so scared of? I've just faced death every morning for X amount of years, and now I'm assuming that free identity, which comes with not having to people please. I don't feel the need. There's no effort. Um, I don't feel like I have to fill empty gaps in chat, and I'm not trying to prove anything anymore because I know what I've done to get where I am now. It's like a calm confidence now I'm left with. That the shaking that I went through of the whole nervous system, for that to come together and stabilize it now gives me a calm confidence. It's not an arrogance, it's not an ego thing. It's more of an appreciation.
Interesting.
And you can't be appreciative and worry about what everybody's thinking because I'm too happy living my day, you know?
Yes. Um, Final words. This has been very insightful. I hope so. And please, if you guys have any questions for Danny, I think Danny, we can add some kind of a social media thing or email to get
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
And just some final words. Any final words directly for that person who is in deep right now and going through a very tough time trying to navigate this particular recovery journey? Anything you want to say to them to finish off?
Yeah. I mean, it's not forever.
Mm.
This is just a period. This is just a chapter. It does end, and it will end without you doing. It's okay to just allow it, and it will be okay. If I could just say that one thing to everybody, it will be okay.
Love it. And
Yeah.
what's upcoming for you, Danny? I know we talked about the podcast a little bit and such, just to give a little snippet of what you're going to be doing. And I'll leave everything in the description here, but what's coming up for you?
Yeah, so I decided in September to go to college. So I was doing the level two counseling, which is 4 years, and after that, I'll be a qualified counselor. While I was doing it, I saw that it's very non-directive. So I think my strengths lie in being able to articulate ideas and stuff like that. So I'm now doing coaching, transformation coaching. So I've set up my channels. I've got a podcast coming up. It's called The Remade, and it's about how I remade myself, and the transformational work that I've learned from yourself has been so front and center for me. Um, I must have watched, and now I don't advise this, but I watched every video, every podcast. I hear your voice every day. You only see me once in a while. I see you very regularly. Yeah. And my brain's like a sponge, and it's no longer a task for me to something to achieve. It's just amazing information that I love soaking up. So I'm so, so grateful to you, Dennis, for what you did for us, and having the school group and the beautiful people that I've met in there and in the WhatsApp group and everything. It's been transformative for me. So I'm so thankful for that, Dennis.
Very welcome, and thank you, Danny. This has been an inspiring interview, and I hope that it touches a lot of people and informs a lot of people, my friend. So thank you so much for your time, and let's do it again.
Yes, I
Yeah,
would love to do
after
it again. That'd
Liverpool
be
win.
brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
About 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you, my friend. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye bye.